Hello. So I realized one thing I haven't done a video on yet is inside the spider cocoon. If you watch that video, there's a corpse in the very middle surrounded by a bunch of spiders that kind of thrashes around. And I redid this time. I've got a new kind of theme in this. What you're looking at is one of those pretty inexpensive plastic skeletons you can get at like any Halloween store. And then what I do is I buy cheap Halloween costumes, kind of off season. This one here I think cost me like $6. And then if you go online, you'll see there's a lot of different places how you kind of corpse or wreck the costumes. And what I've done here, as you get closer, I use a belt sander, and then you use kind of a palm sander, and you just kind of shred it a little bit so it looks old. But what I'm going to show on this video is I've redone this, and I haven't shown you how I actually made it. And then I'm going to actually expand it with that whole theme of trying to get more than one thing out of just one motor. So I'm going to stop it here and then show you the insides of it, just so you kind of have an easy sight of how these are made. This is really common. So this is the inside on the back of this prop. Same thing, it's just a wiper motor with a shaft with one of those little plastic washers. I've got 4 lines, one going to each of the arms and then one to each of the leg, and it goes around. And it's same kind of setup you find all kinds of places. I'm going to stop and turn it on so you can see what it looks like. Again, this is pretty simple stuff. So this is what it looks like. Like I said, I use a PicoBoo so that it's not always moving, and they're just great. You can program it so it goes, thrashes and stops and thrashes and stops. And so this is what it looks like when it's on. I can get my 2 wires touched. There we go. So it's real typical. Just kind of thrashes around. It looks way better when the spider's there, but I wanted to do this video so you can kind of see how I build this, so in time to maybe do this yourself. So I'm going to stop, and what you're going to see next is I'm going to attach 2 more bodies to it and hopefully get enough movement off of just this one that will actually have 3, since I want to make it wider obstacle in my spider prop, hopefully about 6 feet across. So I'm going to stop this one and then start the next one once I've got the other 2 attached. Okay, so here's the last part. One thing I forgot to mention was, and I'll go up to these, when you buy these cheap soft plastic skeletons, you'll see I had to tie each of the drill holes and tie them together because they just pop together and they're not strong enough to hold themselves together at all. So I had to did take some time to have to wire every little piece together with some fishing line. Right now I've got them suspended with this black twine that I use for some of the props, but it's all going to be fishing line. I did it with the black twine right now just so you could kind of see what happens. And so I'm going to stop real quick and then turn it on, and we can talk as it's moving. Okay, so you can see how easy it is now. See, they're all moving, and all I did was, again, the center one's the one that has the motor, and all I did was just tie a couple additional lines off the motor wheel inside, and they run down through the center. And I'll stop it real quick again just to show you, but see how easy it is now. What's going to happen is I'm going to have 3 of them moving. Again, they're all going to be covered in cocoons and spiders and stuff, but I wanted to make it wider, and this is just a really simple way to have 3 moving props using just one motor. Okay, so the very last one, all this is here's the attachment. Again, it's going up behind in the back on the wheel. It just came out, and on this one here, I just attached it right there to the center of it. So all it's doing is just pulling this like this, and did the same thing. I just ran another line out from underneath in the back to the attachment where the pulley is, ran it across, ran it up to the center section of here, and then so when this pulls, it's just like that. And it's again really simple. Those will be done with fishing lines, so you won't see it when they are all moving. Plus there'll be cocoon stuff over, and they'll be all covered in spiders. And this prop will probably be, as I step back here, the 3 of them is probably about 7-8 feet wide, and that's what I want because I've got about 12 feet in my spider prop. And as I was saying, if you look at my previous videos, you'll see that there's just one moving corpse guy, but now there's going to be 3 with probably about 6 to 8 spiders on it, which, you know, they'll be moving too, since the whole thing will be moving. And the nice thing too is there's just hardly any pull on the motor itself, because the pull's coming from the bottom, which balances the pull to the top, which is actually lifting it. So it actually, again, as I've talked before in my videos, trying to balance out the motor work. So now what I've got is I've got the 2 upper pulleys, pulling the center one up, but at the same time, to balance it out, I've taken the lines off the bottom, and that's what's pulling the other 2 back and forth, and it seems to even balance it out better. So the last video I'll do on this will be when the whole thing's actually up and running in my Halloween prop, probably about 2-3 weeks before Halloween. But I wanted to get this out so you guys can maybe think of something like this to do, and it worked out really easy, and it's I think it's going to be a good prop.